Okay. Ms. Brandy Hicks is the founder and professor at Serve University. Serve University is a virtual campus powered by Microsoft, providing education and training to nonprofit leaders who want to learn how to serve their communities. Ms. Hicks is also a grant writer and nonprofit consultant. She has secured and managed over $1 billion in major gifts, grants, and community assets. She spearheaded projects for the United Way of Greater Atlanta, City of Atlanta, and the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, the Center for Working Families, and Morehouse College, just to name a few. Brandy received her bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati and has both of her master's in business administration and marketing and public administration and nonprofit management from Keller Graduate School of Management. Currently, Ms. Hicks is a graduate student at Northeastern University's Doctor of Education program. She is the author of 10 Things You Need to Complete Your College Application and the executive director of College Clinic, helping students and their families transition into college and beyond in Atlanta, Cleveland, and around the world. Please welcome Ms. Brandy Hicks.
Good morning. Oh, good morning, class of 2017. Good morning. All right. Thank you to Principal Kirkwood Hughes and Ms. Jones and all of the wonderful people that made this morning possible and the invitation to come home and speak to the gifted minds of the class of 2017. I am very grateful to be here to celebrate this day with you with the very last class of John F. Kennedy. And that was a beautiful and warm welcome. But it took me a long time to get comfortable in my accomplishments. Today, I stand here in my truth. I own all my greatness that was just read to you. But you heard who I was in my biography. But that's not who I've always been. Let me tell you about the Brandy that had a failing grade in math and English my senior year. I had a 1.999 GPA, and my counselor just rounded it up to a 2.0 because my dad was a CMSD principal. And in my senior year, I would have not been in the seat seated next to you. Some of the parents here have had my dad as a principal, and you all know that Mr. Hicks don't play about his education. Let me tell you about the Brandy that worked 3 jobs while getting her master's. Let me tell you about the Brandy that had to get on food stamps with all this education. Let me tell you about Brandy that was just a kid from Cleveland that just decided to do it. Because I'm just a kid from Cleveland that came back home to share with you my story, to stir your soul, inspire, and break free any unanswered questions or mediocrity in your thinking about what life and learning looks like after high school. Can we talk, young people? Can we talk, young people? I know that we have some parents and elders and teachers and principals, but I need to talk to the honor students for just a moment because I have a message for you. Because somewhere between getting you ready for the OGT, homecoming, college applications, filling out the FAFSA form and waiting for the decision, scholarship applications, and going to as many meetings and this meeting or wherever else you had to go just so you can sit here today, prom, finals, and graduations, that list just made me tired. And then you just want to fit in just a little bit more time because this is it. After graduation, you got to be an adult. there was a gap in the conversation. See, as to date, I haven't been to a high school where they teach adulting 101. All of a sudden, adults tell the youth that they need to grow up overnight, but no one sat you down really and told you the transparencies about life. No one really sat you down to tell you how you were supposed to grow up between graduation and the first day of college. As much as you walk around the house and act like you're grown, paying none of the bills that grown folks pay, called gas and lights and taxes and mortgage and health insurance and oil changes and cable and groceries, somebody forgot to enroll you in the class called Adulting 101. I didn't even have this class at Shaker, and this was one of the reasons why it took me 13 years to graduate with my bachelor's from the University of Cincinnati. This was the part that was missing in my life. So gather around, students, because Professor Brandy is going to give you your first college and career class called Adulting 101. Because I got a story to tell. Can we talk, young people? All right. Now, before we get started, I need to give a little context to my age because I do look a little younger than I am. So I'm young enough to know the lyrics to Mask Off by Future and worked and kicked it with the people y'all Google today. I'm age appropriate enough to know that when the Trans-Europe Express came on, that it was time to drive down Fairhill and go to Vales. And I used to slow dance next door to General Kane's for Lovers Only at the Juva Day. And I'm old enough to have seen Patti LaBelle at the front row. And I know the song too, I Really Miss You, Brandy, by the OJs. But that was about a man missing his dog, not about me. So can we talk, young people? All right. Now, elders, just hold tight. This message that I'm about to deliver to the class of 2017 is probably what you preach every day to our students, but your delivery is probably a little off, and they probably tuned you out by now. I'm about to tell them probably everything that you said to them a million times, but I'm just going to say it in a manner that's a little clearer for them to understand. In this brief lesson of Adulting 101, the Cleveland version, there are 3 lessons that I will share with you today about a kid from Cleveland that just decided to do it. Can we talk, young people? All right. Lesson number 1. You are already great because you're from Cleveland. You are already amongst the greatest. See, with your current GPA, you have already showed up in the world and shown us how great you really are. That you are qualified and able to do anything that you put your mind to. Your name will forever be remembered in the anthology of history books in JSK's 51st graduating class, and will become the distinguished alumni of this school. Your names will forever be ranked amongst the brilliant, honored people from Cleveland. Now let's look at this list. There's JFK notable Eagles radio personality Lynn Tolliver, USA Karate national coach Ken Ferguson, and the soulful songstress Vanessa Rubin, and philanthropist Jackie Bradley. Shaker alumni, of course, got to represent Shaker with Kid Cudi, actress Kim Whitley, and cast coach James Posey. Then there's Garrett Morgan, inventor of the sewing machine, the perm, the black hair dye, the first curved tooth comb for straightening your hair, which is the reason why some of y'all's edges is laid this morning, and the fireman's safety hood, gas mask for the U.S. Army, traffic signals, and one of the founders of the Call and Post. Julia Tuttle founded the city of Miami, Florida, the only woman to have founded an American city. She's from Cleveland. Charles Brush invented the lights that you see used in IMAX movies today. There's John D. Rockefeller, the first billionaire and the most wealthiest person in modern time. There's Dr. Mehmet Oz, Oprah's right-hand doctor. There's Donald Glasser, the Nobel Peace Prize winner in physics that invented the bubble chamber, the same kind of chamber that kept Michael Jackson moonwalking and LeBron James shooting those free throws. Then there's Chantel Jackson, valedictorian, and Amber Harris, salutatorian. Your names will forever be on that list too. And the list goes on and on, from the great and brilliant minds of Cleveland that changed the world. And just like some of those great people that I just mentioned, some of you will have to make the tough decision to leave Cleveland, take your talents to South Beach or somewhere else outside of Cuyahoga County, outside of Cleveland, Ohio. But sometimes you gotta be willing to step out of your comfort zone, be broke for a while, lose some friends, have some sleepless nights. Some people won't get that though. I moved to Atlanta with $500 in my pocket. In the beginning, my dad didn't agree with my decision to move to Atlanta, just like some of the people in the audience didn't agree with why LeBron left and went to Miami. Despite everyone's opinion that Atlanta was too far, I was going to fail and have to move back with my parents. I was going to run out of money, and the fear of people saying, "I told you so," was all the motivation that I needed to be great in Atlanta. See, Lil Wayne taught us that real G's move in silence like lasagna. So sometimes you can't tell everybody what you're doing because they'll try to knock your hustle and discourage you from doing the things that you know that's best for your situation. My heart and spirit knew that I was going to be great in Atlanta. I had talent. I knew if I had a chance to prove to myself that I could be great, I could show others how to do it. But when you get on and when you make it, wherever you are in this world, you call residence, you have the duty and the responsibility to this very city that taught you how to hustle to come home and bring Cleveland a championship in the industry that you have won in. I brought College Clinic back to Cleveland 3 years ago because I showed 10,000 students in Atlanta how to be successful. What type of Clevelander would I be if I didn't come home to show 100,000 students how to get scholarship money? I was great when I lived in Cleveland. I'm great living in Atlanta, and I come home a couple of times a year to help other young people fall madly in love with the greatness that's within you. Because you're already great. Because you're from Cleveland. Can we talk, young people? Lesson number 2. You will never be alone in this world because you're from Cleveland. Now, I'm going to give you a math formula that I figured out about life. Yes, I'm the student that got a failing grade in math her senior year and about to talk about numbers and statistics. Ready? Here we go. There are about 107 billion people that were born on this earth since the beginning of time. Currently, there are 7 billion people on this planet. Cleveland is the 32nd largest city in the United States, and there are about 2 million people that currently live in the greater Cleveland area. Did you know that anywhere that you go in this entire world, that if you have on your Browns, Indians, Cavs, or any Ohio sports gear, and watch somebody run up to you and shake your hand? I was in Old Havana, Cuba last month for spring break, where there is limited internet. And the country has been under Fidel Castro for over his regime and government control for more than 40 years. And the country was stuck in 1950s time, like stuck, no internet. And in the streets of Old Havana, I was in the flea market in a crowd of what seemed like 1,000 people. All of the locals speak very limited English. And I looked across and I saw this elderly white woman who was on vacation with her family. And from across the street, I saw her carrying an Ohio State tote bag. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, "OH!" And she stopped in the middle of her tracks and she yelled back, "I-O!" And at that exact moment, I knew that I would never be alone because we hugged like strangers in the middle of the street. Those exact moments in this big, scary, hairy world, you'll realize that you'll never be alone because you're from Cleveland. Every other city or country that I travel to, I always rock my Cleveland is the city sweatshirt. I expect to run into somebody from Cleveland everywhere that I go. Wherever you go in this world, you will never be alone. Even if you leave this auditorium, go down Harvard, turn left on Lee Road, and clock into your jobs at McDonald's, get into the management career track and learn what it takes to buy your own McDonald's. Did you know that frying fries was an international skill set? Every country that I visited, there's a McDonald's. Better yet, go get a job as a secretary during the day at Cleveland Clinic and study medicine at night. Did you know that there's a Cleveland Clinic in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, hiring for a secretary with your exact skill set? Tell them that you grew up in the Lee and Harvard neighborhood in Cleveland, Ohio, and watch your resume get pulled to the top quicker and faster than somebody that lives in Dubai just because you're from Cleveland. Put a Cleveland anywhere on this earth, and she'll triple her worth. Though with those numbers and those statistics, you'll never be alone because you're from Cleveland, and Cleveland is definitely in the house. Can we talk, young people? Raise your hand if you hear me, seniors. Raise both hands if you hear what I'm teaching you today. And adults in class 101, stand to your feet if this message is hitting somewhere in your spirit. Because I'm just a kid from Cleveland that just came to deliver a message to someone who's been inspired and motivated. Someone in this audience needs encouragement to break their mediocrity of thinking about what life and learning looks like after high school. Number 3, in your Adulting Class 101, it's probably the hardest lesson that I've got to teach you this morning. This is a lesson that no one can prepare you for but yourself. You can't study up on this. Your teachers here at JFK, they can't stay after school to help you get this one right. Your parents can't protect you from this. Only you can get yourself through this next lesson. Number 3, you will struggle, but you will survive. Because what? You're from Cleveland. For more than 10 years, I was the business manager for one of my homies from Cleveland and best friend. His name was Anton Young Chef Teasley. Everybody here in Cleveland knew him as Twin because he had an identical twin. He was from Cleveland, graduated from John Hay, and became one of the top chefs for the athletes and entertainers living in Miami, Florida. We started working together because we kept bumping into each other at Hopkins Airport because both of our NBA clients played and had homes in Atlanta. Young Cheesy is what they call him, had a beautiful personality, always bringing a smile to everyone he encountered. He was also a philanthropist. Part of our business agreement was that I would only manage him if he used his gifts to give back to his community. So every Thanksgiving, he would cook over 400 meals and serve it to the homeless people at Camelia's house in Miami, Florida. He would call his celebrity friends to donate clothing and food and toiletry and help spread the love to the people during the holiday season. It was truly a winning situation. Then one morning about 4 a.m., I received a call from Chef. He had called me to ask me to fly down to Miami because he needed some business support. We used to argue like brothers and sisters, but this time there was something different in his voice. We talked that morning until the sun came up. Before we got off the phone, I said, you know, you get on my nerves, but I love you. And I'll see you at the end of the week. He said, I love you too, B. See you next week. And we hung up the phone. 2 days later, I woke up with tons of missed calls and text messages from the Florida area code 305. Before I got the chance to read the first message, another friend of mine had called and told me the tragic news that Anton Young Chef Teasley had been murdered. Shot, killed, just like that, gone. Wait, what? No, not my twin. I just talked to him the other day. You got the wrong person. I hung up the phone and dialed his number, but the phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. No answer. I slowly started to scroll through the text messages that someone had sent me, and my hands began to shake, and as I clicked on the message, it said, NBA's Norris Cole chef murdered. That wasn't how our story was supposed to end. We were supposed to grow old together. We were supposed to feed more homeless people. There was more work that we wanted to do for the people in Cleveland. We were supposed to get money together. That was the most devastating news that I think that I've experienced in my entire life. The summer of 2014, I laid in my bed, unable to be productive, unable to sleep or eat right. I felt like life could not go on for me. I had lost my best friend, but I had also lost my client and our business. Everything was taken from me in that exact moment. Business had come to a complete stop. One day, weak with grief, my legs gave out on me and I collapsed on the bathroom floor. I had lost so much weight, my hair was falling out, my eyes were swollen red from the crying that I had did for weeks, and I could barely recognize the person I was looking at in the mirror. As I laid on the floor, using whatever strength I had to hold on to the cold porcelain toilet, I didn't know who I was anymore. The struggle was too real for me. I didn't know what to do. I was paralyzed with fear. I felt like life was strangling me. I could not breathe. I was afraid. I was scared. I was alone. I felt riddled and consumed with guilt that if I was only 3 days away from flying to Miami, maybe I could have saved his life. What was I going to do for work now that my friend and top client was gone? Who was going to hire me now? Was I good enough? Was I smart enough? Will I make it without him? I thought I was unworthy, less than, at a point where I couldn't love myself. I couldn't teach others. The negative self-chatter in my head was so loud that I couldn't even hear my own heartbeat. Have you ever felt that broken? One hand in the air if you've ever felt this low in your life before. Two hands if you really understand me. Stand up if I've just described the moment of your brokenness. Laying on the bathroom floor, riddled with grief, I was struggling to stay alive. I didn't know that if I was at the end of the tunnel, was it the train to come to run me over? What was it, the light that I needed to show me the way? And in that moment, I asked for the help from the only person that I knew that could help me. And then I heard the smallest whisper of God saying, use everything that I gave you to be great again. Use what I gave you. With tears rolling down my eyes, with teeth chattering and knees knocking, I picked myself up from that bathroom floor because I knew that I had to fight for my life. Young Chef didn't want me to live like this. I didn't want to live like this anymore. That tiny whisper of God was a reminder that I was still great past all of that grief. But slowly but surely, I began to heal myself and I started back to work. That fall is when I wrote that book, The 10 Things You Need to Complete Your College Application. I wanted to help students that I had to love myself and celebrate and encourage my own self. I had to be my own student again. I had to give myself permission to succeed. I had to silence all of the negative self-chatter that wasn't my truth. I had to use everything that I was given to be great again. In the midst of death, grief, struggle. I had to remind myself the three things that I knew to be true about myself. One, I'm already great because I'm from Cleveland. Two, I will never be alone in this world because I'm from Cleveland. Three, I did struggle, but I am surviving because I'm from Cleveland. Are you willing to struggle through your pain, JFK? Are you willing to be uncomfortable for your dreams? How are you going to show up for yourself after life has knocked you down, drug you by your hair all around through life? Are you going to let struggle consume you and take you out of here? Or are you going to rise up and fight for everything that you know that has been promised to you? Now, Big Sean said it the best. Last night I took an L, but tonight I bounce back. Wake up every morning, by the morning I count stack. If you a real one, then you know how to bounce back. Cause why? I'm from Cleveland. How will you show up in the world, JFK? How will you make a statement in this world after you leave here? What I know for sure about the senior honors class of 2017 is that you're smart, intelligent, and destined to be great because you're from Cleveland. You are everything and more that your ancestors prayed for. Even the ability to sit in an auditorium like this that was once segregated and you had to sit in the back of the room, enter into another door, drink from another water fountain, and didn't have equal rights to vote. Who are you, JFK? Honors Seniors Class of 2017, apply for that job, get a passport, buy that plane ticket, register to vote, move to that city, do all of the things that scare the heck out of you because you are worth it and you've already proven to yourself that you are great. Now turn to your fellow classroom and tell them thank you. Turn to your fellow classmates and tell them thank you. Do it right now. Because studies have shown that when a person says thank you 7 times to the other person, they will feel the impact of their gratitude. When you are grateful, tell someone that you have impacted their space because they only hear you after the 7th time. This may be the last time that you see these people. Tell them thank you for being my cheerleader when I didn't have the voice to say it to myself. Tell them thank you for rooting me on. The people that believed in you, that had the courage to believe in you. Tell them thank you for hanging in there with me. Tell them thank you for your prayers. Now look them in the eyes and tell them thank you for the last 4 years. Now, JFK Seniors Honors Class, I want you to rise to your feet and connect to each other. Get as close as possible. Because there are these redwood trees in California called sequoias. They are the largest trees in the world and live more than 3,500 years. Tunnels can be carved out of the base of the trunk for cars and trucks to drive through. They cannot be destroyed by fire, wind, or rain. They are the mightiest trees in the forest, but you will never see a sequoia standing alone because of the sheer girth of them would fall over if they stood alone. They do not grow alone. When it rains, the waters will hit the trees and the leaves, so they are watered by their root system. If you, young man, you're watering that tree over there. Young lady, you're watering that tree over there because you are connected by your root system. Therefore, all of the trees in the forest are watered together at the same time. They take care of each other. They eat because you eat. They drink because you drink. They are connected by their root system. Students, JFK is your root system. Cleveland, Ohio is your root system. The 50 other JFK alumni class that came before you, they are your root system. I am connected to that root system and the many elders that are in this room to show you what life and learning looks like after high school. You are a sequoia. You are a redwood. Now, class of 2017, repeat after me. I am the mightiest of this graduation class.
I am the mightiest of this graduation class.
My goals and my future are non-negotiable.
My goals and my future are non-negotiable.
It is my birthright to achieve my highest success.
It is my birthright to achieve my highest success.
I am from Cleveland and I am a champion.
I am from Cleveland and
Class of 2017, your Adulting Class 101 is now dismissed. I am Brandy Ray Hicks. I am your nonprofit navigator, and I'm a college coach. But most importantly, I'm your sister in your service and your sister in success. Let's change the world, JFK. Thank you.